All right, how are we doing? All right, I think I need a page reference here. I have it around here. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to need a little bit of reference here. All right. What the fuck is going on with this thing? What is in the lead? No, doesn't matter. Hmm. Oh, hey, how's it going, man? Happy Father's Day as well. Not doing too bad. Trying to get back in the groove of drawing these things, to be honest. It's been a little while. Everybody likes the great pages, you know? They're a bit of a bitch to draw, but that's not the point. Let's see here. There you are. I think I want this slightly smaller here. Yeah. So we can fit more of this thing in. I don't like how big this head is looking so far. This page here is it? It's I guess it's almost visible. This is theoretically page 9 of Blood Force issue 4. This is one of those. Actually, this is probably one that's going to get slotted in somewhere where I just need to break things up a little bit. No, that's not. It's not a bad hand, but not really for what we're looking for. So this is, I mean, I think this is actually scheduled to be probably more like page 6 or 7 or something. But I didn't, this was a tough page to kind of plan out, and I didn't have it ready to go earlier on. So I just kind of kept drawing the hawk stab sequence. I figured, like, we'll figure out the rest of it some other time. Is it a mini series? Well, I mean, it's I'm writing it like it's gonna be just an ongoing. It's a very slow ongoing. So like at the current pace, I'm basically only getting out like 2 issues a year. The first arc is either 5 or 6 issues. I'm not for sure yet. We basically won't know until I script the next issue. Oh, thanks, man. It's tough because I'm, going in depth on pro stuff every other day, basically. So it's like, I don't know if this doesn't match up to that kind of shit, but yeah, no, that's okay, I guess. Mm-hmm. Stuff on the page here. Yeah, I know. It's just hard to remember that sometimes when it's like, I'm not. I think if this was my job, I was just drawing every day, it'd be a lot easier because I wouldn't have too much time to compare to other people's stuff. Just the fact that it's more of a hobby than anything. It's like, How am I doing this? Yeah, no, it's true. So I just try to remind myself to just keep going. I mean, like, I've done like, I don't even know how many pages I've done of this thing yet. It's probably close to like 80 now, which is kind of crazy. I think that's probably the most I've done of anything. Ah, fucker. Did it break off again? It fucking did too. Sorry, trying to sharpen my lead here and it's just not working out at all. Man. I'm just doing a terrible job at this here. Out of practice on even how to sharpen a pencil. Yeah, the ideal is to try and do a page a day, I think. If you can do a page a day, then you can basically maintain a comic a month, roughly. And the problem is I can't quite go at that rate. Certainly not while doing a live stream anyway. Maybe if I was just doing it on my own, or maybe I would just, take more breaks and stuff. Who's to say? So this mask thing here goes like that, then. Try not to make this thing look like a ridiculous bird, but it's being kind of difficult. Again, I think it's an out of practice thing. I haven't really drawn for like a couple of weeks now. It's another thing. If you're going every day, then like just you can kind of pick up where you left off, I feel like. Let's try these 3 panels rather. I think anybody these days can do 5 pages in one day. Maybe Jay Lee could if you really wanted to, but I think most people are at the point where it's like, yeah, no, I can maybe do a page a day, which is funny because that would be been the minimum back in the day. But I feel like you're expected to, like with mainstream comics, you're expected to do a lot more these days. Oh, just a bit. Let's see here. What the hell, man? So these things all drying out on me. That'd be nice to do the pages daily, but I wouldn't be able to do anything else then. So no revisit videos, which is I don't know. They've somehow become like the point of what I'm doing these days. The struggle is indeed real. All right, let's see if you can figure some shit out here. Nope. Yeah, no, fair enough. I don't know because I do tend to get more attention off of the revisit videos than off of anything else. So it'd be nice to think that, John would do just as well if I focus mostly on doing the pages. I don't think it would, though. Great artwork, great artwork. It always pulls them in, yeah. I think this one is toast. It's an 03, that's an 02. There we go. Let's see. It's a tough perspective. I never thought about these helmets from a worm's eye view. Yeah, I don't think I intended them to look like birds originally, but like, man, it's kind of gone that way. like fucking croissants on the sides of their heads here. It's just how it goes sometimes, I guess. How are we doing here? Oh yeah. No, it is with sci-fi. You can just kind of go with whatever you feel like, can't you? Yeah, I kind of remember when that came out, and just how cool it like. Yeah, trying to figure out like what the aliens actually looked like based off of like screenshots of toys and shit. Yeah, it's a weird time. But yeah, it goes to show you don't really need to think too much about the look necessarily. Yeah, that was yeah. I mean, if you were like a teenager or maybe a little younger in the '90s, then yeah, that was definitely a huge deal when ID4 came out. Slightly less so when Godzilla came out, but still way more hype than was warranted, I think. How are we doing here? Not too bad so far. It could look better. Oh, well. Yeah, Godzilla was another one that felt like, I don't know, it was a huge deal at the time, and then I think as soon as I saw it, it's like, oh, that wasn't quite as big a deal as it should have been, or that wasn't as big a deal as it was hyped up to be. That's more like what I was meant to say. Getting Matthew Broderick as your star for your Godzilla movies, not a great start, but yeah, absolutely. I think I was working in Walmart at the time that came out. 98? That was when that came out, right? Yeah, I think so. In the toy department. So I was, seeing the toy versions of everything coming out at the time. And it was like trying to make sense of the Godzilla, and it was like, okay, I mean, it's not really Godzilla, but I mean, Jurassic Park did just come out a few years before, so I guess we got to copy that, right? Hmm. Be careful with this black. Make sure that there's no white standing out because these eyes ended up being a lot smaller than I thought. The bit where he doesn't even realize he stepped in the footprint. Yeah. He accidentally stepped in Godzilla footprints, as you would, right? Yeah. Not a good movie at all. I'm just kind of, I was gonna say I'm glad Hank Azaria got a paycheck, but then again, he voiced like half the voices on The Simpsons, so I guess he gets paid well enough. So here. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I would have had the discipline or the attention span to do something like movies myself. So comics I can do. You know, getting a few pages out, yeah, that seems manageable. Scripting and acting and all that kind of shit, no thanks. Way too much. Yeah, that is actually way too small for those eyes. I mean, those popping up way more. I'll whittle those down in a minute. All right, looks okay, I think. Yeah, I think that looks okay. That's a little better. Here, let me just move this over a little bit. I want to make sure it's focusing on the right thing here. It feels like it's a little fuzzy. I know. Not too bad. Hey, John. Not too bad. How about you, man? Good to see you. It's been a little while, I guess. And that has been a little while since I drew one of these. more what I was going for there, but. This has to be fixed up a little bit. Would I like Blood Force? I mean, sure. Just because that means like I could probably retire if that's the case. If Blood Force is a movie. I don't know how they do it. Is the only thing. I think it might work better as a cartoon, if anything. But yeah, no, I mean that'd be pretty cool. It would be. I think it would be difficult because like as the guy who as the only guy who's been working on it, anything different from the source material would feel like a criticism, right? But like part of the deal with Blood Force is that it's making fun of a comic book. It's a very specific thing. And part of that is making fun of a drawing style or making fun of a convention, like a drawing convention. Which wouldn't necessarily translate to cartoons or movies or what have you. Like it's the kind of thing I don't think Watchmen really works as anything other than a comic book because so much of it is commentary or something like that on classic comic tropes, like or styles or drawing conventions, that sort of thing. They seem to be making them anyway, though, so I guess I don't know too much about that. Yeah, I think a cartoon would work best if anything, because it's going to have to be silly as shit, and I don't know if you can pull it off as well with real life people. You know, it'd be great if it did sell, and then they decided to do it as like I don't know, just not a parody at all, no satire. Just like no, these are superheroes, and we're using them in a superhero way. I think that would be amazing. It'd almost be like a new level of parody. If I could get Joe Mad to do a variant, I would. Like if he did it for a reasonable amount of money. I don't think he does anything for that though. Oh, I'm sure he would. Absolutely. He's doing comic work for no money. That does sound an awful lot like Joe Matt. No, maybe not, but I think the more likely thing is I get somebody to draw in a Joe Mad style for a variant cover, and then hopefully it's pretty good. I think actually I can get my brother to do that. He might do a decent job. Yeah, no, I mean I know a few people who can draw now, which is nice. So if I'm going the incentive route, which like the variant route, which I suppose is kind of what you have to do these days. Yeah, I think I can find a couple of people who do all right. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Is that looking like fuzzy to you? It feels like it is. A little out of focus. I was using another camera for another thing earlier today. I just kind of kept it on because, like, let's see how this does again. I think I'm out of focus on this. So I think probably we'll keep it on until the next one and see if switching back to the original works better. Or I think it works better anyway. I think maybe that will be the case. Yeah, it's a lot of people do that these days. The more animated looking style. I mean, like it works well with. I don't know if you do any digital stuff. It works well with that. Probably a lot better than a shit ton of cross hatching like what I do, but. It seems like that particular kind of style really flourished once computer colors became a thing, which makes sense. I mean, if you're doing a less rendering heavy kind of style, leaves room for the colorist to do more stuff with it. Well, here I am over here just cross-hatching the shit out of everything. Now, I don't know if I'll open, I keep it, I guess a little bit here and there, but yeah, for the most part, I do try to fill up a fair amount of lines, to be honest. It's just that I start losing track of them after a while. Yeah. That's pretty good being able to draw both 90s type stuff and like cartoony Archie type stuff. The busted one. You're probably in a better position than me because, like, when I'm drawing, I tend to forget that color is something that exists. That would probably help my book sell better if I could, get it in color. Tend to just think in black and white from reading a bunch of black and white indies when I was a kid. Now, figuring out how to ink takes a little while, but I don't know if you have fun with it. I find I don't know, it's a very enjoyable part of it. A lot of, I guess a lot of people don't really even ink that much anymore. It's more about, yeah, again, the color, just kind of leaving the drawing open. make this a little thicker so it stands out a bit more. Might have been a bit too much, but yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking at least to start, this thing is going to be more of a black and white comic because just I wouldn't be able to color it myself no matter what. So, which means hiring somebody, which I can't afford to do right now. So, let's see, how did we do this before? Black and white with a color cover works fine. I think everybody's down with that. And that means I don't have to worry about making any kind of changes to accommodate something like a color, like colors in the book. Which I'm, so just all cross hatching all the time. Yep. I have to put you guys on pause for a minute. I'm getting a Father's Day call. I'll be back in a couple minutes here. Sorry about the delay there. Oh yeah, you do the Valiant method for coloring, just whatever's at hand. I mean, if it works, by all means. Okay, I think that looks mostly all right. Here. Okay, that's a couple of files. That's nice to get out of the way. Try and work out some lettering here now, I think. Let's see what John Workman was doing. Oh, you know what? He was doing that. Looks fine. Yeah, I like Zrap. Like we gotta stick with Zrap. Okay, let's try it here. I think we're gonna go with more of a. We don't need Buddhas so much. I like Braps and Zrats and shit like that. This one. Hey, Brain, how you doing, bud? Happy Father's Day, right back. Yeah, there's did a bit of a later thing because I was recording something earlier that had to be done earlier in the day. So, and hopefully we end up using it. I think we will. Let's see here. Trying to do some classic like John Workman style lettering here. Um, I mean, what are we at here? An hour and a half. I could see going for at least another hour anyway. It's not that I usually have things later in the day that I have to do. It's more like I can only go for so long before I completely lose focus, So I think we'll go for at least try to go for at least a 2.5 hour stream, and then maybe go for like 3 if I'm still feeling it okay. Hey Jay, how you doing, bud? Oh, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I don't know. This sequence has been tough to nail down. Keep getting ideas and then going, but wait a minute, will that idea actually look good? And it's like, oh, well, I didn't think about that. Let's try something a little bit different on this one. Yeah, you probably do see some sim influence there. I don't think I could shake it now if I wanted to. I'm trying to go for something kind of what John Workman does in Wetworks, which is just kind of goofy, fun, like very old school kind of comic stuff, you know. Which doesn't necessarily work with the image style stuff, but it also didn't work with it in Wetworks, and it showed up in Wetworks. So there is a precedent. Yeah, okay, I can see that. The Guys era stuff. Let's see here. Do something a bit poofier down here because you don't want to lose everything in the by doing the skinny lettering here. Let's see. I think probably you're right. I have a tendency to go. Yeah, this is definitely a Dave Sim influence kind of thing, and that is the stuff I tend to kind of veer towards. And it doesn't always it isn't always appropriate for one thing. Gotta be careful on that one. Oh, and happy Father's Day to you, good sir. Yeah, I don't. I tried using the fonts for that were already there, like preloaded, and I didn't like the selection they had. It's like, well, I can see if I can find more, like different fonts, and fuck around with them, and see if I can figure out how to insert them, or I can just try and actually do it. And I am. The only problem is I tend to get sloppy with this stuff, which I'm doing right now, actually. I mean, I think you can make it work. I don't know. I do always like seeing more of the hand lettered stuff for sound effects. shit, that's skinny. All right. Trying not to like bear down too hard on my pen. It's not working too well. Okay, I don't think we need this one here. This one's actually just away a little bit. Imagine, like, I'm just thinking, sitting here, thinking, like, man, this would be so much easier if I like had any kind of patience and discipline. I think I could probably be a decent letterer if I could just like sit still for a minute. I can't really do it, much as I'd like to. I'll fix up these so that they're overlapping the panel border. Yeah, it's tough for me to pull off sometimes. The inking is different. I can get lost in the cross hatching, but I can't get that same kind of zoning out feel for lettering. Much as I feel like lettering needs a lot more planning, or maybe I just think it does. I'm sure some people can do it without the planning part of it, but stay put, please. No, that's too. Yeah, I'll need to fix that. There's not quite that much room. Calm down. Jeez, I keep squeezing this. Keep squeezing the pen so tight. It's like injuring my hand here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, probably. I'm sure they all do. It's funny because like usually it's not a problem anymore. It used to be more of one. It's just with the lettering where I'm like just bearing down, like I'm trying to injure the paper. Oh, shit, we're at the 2 hour mark already, eh? That's pretty good. Yeah, I'd like to get this panel done, at least, before I call it a day. Yeah, that's some silly lettering. It's all right. It feels like it should be in Trencher. Okay. Oh. I feel like this should be a silhouette here, actually. I feel like this is how Jay Lee would do it. And that's probably the best way to go, really. Has anybody asked themselves how would Barrett Michaels draw it? I feel like I actually did think that once or twice at the beginning, where it's like where it was more about making fun of what was there than trying to come up with something good. Let's see here. Yeah, it's gonna get ugly. I think it's gonna need more taping down because we're gonna need a lot more spritz in here. How do the guns look there? We don't need to include the gun. That's okay. Okay. Let's get a whole bunch of black going on there. It's gonna look pretty abstract to start with, isn't it? Yeah, this isn't one I haven't done a whole lot of before. And then every once in a while, it's like, oh, hey, I think I've seen that panel before. So I got to try that shit out, right? Okay. This is going to be tough to get around. But we're going to have to find a way. Okay, so I think this is going to end up being kind of a quick panel, actually. I want to get this out of the way now. Same with the other one. Because God forbid we spritz on this thing. Those are like two of the best pages I've got so far. Nope, get back up. Well, okay, so these pages will be fast except for all the prep. This panel, rather. You know what? I don't need this here. I need the edge of the tape there, actually. Okay. And one more for the sound effects. Okay. And the rest I'll have to do manually, just go in and like pointillism it a little bit. But I think this will work for this anyway. Okay, there we go. All right, where is that toothbrush? There we go. Shoot, forgot I wanted one more thing in here. And that'll be the muzzle flare. Here we go. Let's give it a shot. It's all drying. Shit. Already. Man, I love that thing up so much. That's a bit much. And we need more right at the apex, or the center here. There we go. Yeah, he's having a rough day. Okay. Oh, man. And as per usual, my thumb now is just soaked. I want to give that a minute to... Here, let me pet that down a little bit. Dry up. Come on. You need to take the ink that's already there with you. Ass. I think I want to put a gun behind that there just so it's a bit more clear what's going on. Where'd the cat for the ink go? There we go. Oh, a little bit of the splatter got through. That's okay, I guess. Hey, okay, how you doing, buddy? I'm just thinking of wrapping it up soon. So a little bit late, maybe, but that's, I mean, I was a little bit late, so we're just, everybody's off. Come on. Thank you. And then there's like the two really unpleasant panels on this page that I'm going to have to deal with at some point. By unpleasant, I just mean like difficult angles. And probably a fair amount of background having to go into it. This has been all the fun stuff, so naturally, that's the stuff that's already out of the way. I had a smaller pen than that. There we go. And yeah, probably going to be some grates. This is on board the ship. Oh, kind of soaked the paper here. I guess this is why people get like 300 or 400. No, well, I mean, everybody's wearing like helmets and shit. There's no room for drool. I guess because we get close-ups of Hawkstab and Gun Show, like screaming or with their mouths open or whatever. There should be some drool in there. Thinking about it, you're right. All right. Let me just get some more water for the toothbrush here, see if we can soak some of that out. Okay. So I'm gonna have to come up with some dialogue to go over these. I think some shit about how Popo's sneaking around in the shadows, and how, he's like a silent assassin, and then like all the sound effects in the world. Probably not a bad idea. Just go listen. Yeah, put the Ramones on. It's better than the stuff I'm listening to. Yeah, it'd be nice if I could put on something that was like, I enjoyed. This stuff is just kind of like it's not objectionable for the most part. I think we should do some Sam Keith arm hairs on Popo here, so that we can maybe tell a little bit more that that's what this is. Not that he's a hairy guy or anything, but sure, that's what that is. Oh, you can't really see how that turned out. I don't even know if you can see it there. Not really, because this thing has like a very narrow focus on it. Nah. Well, no, mine is gonna. Popo thinks he's a silent assassin, and then he goes around and he's quiet up until he sees somebody and has a gun aimed at them, and then makes all the noise in the world, and then continues as though he killed somebody quickly and efficiently and silently. Oh, that's a good plan. I always think about things like smearing like it's inevitable. Like there's nothing I can do about it. It's like, man, it's a shame I did that other panel first. And now it's going to have to be smeared. Nothing I can do about that. Oh, well. That's true. If you go full JLE, yeah. Never go full JLE. What the hell do these outfits look like? Do they have abs? That's a good question, actually. Better question. Did I try to do abs earlier, and did it look any kind of good? Continuity isn't so much important as, did we decide that this wasn't a good way to proceed? Hey, come on. Let's see here. Hard to say. I think they maybe do have abs. You know what? He's going to be holding a gun in front of him too. This is the problem, is I can't tell because they're all holding guns in front of them. So it's like, why don't you just put a gun in front of me? You don't have to worry about it. How are we doing? This is like a... no, more like that. I got like kind of golden shit going on here. I'm pretty sure that every Clerg unit is going to have at least somewhat different gear. I mean, for one thing, that's kind of cool for differentiation. For another thing, I can go anything that where it was like, man, this is a pain in the ass to draw, or it doesn't look nearly as cool over a long term as I thought it would. I can go, well, we can cut that out for the next one. I think so. I think it's well thought out. What do we do for the hallways here? It's not too bad. I think it depends on the guy for the image guys. I think probably like Mark Silvestri was probably a mix between planning it out, like, you know, probably pretty basic, and then he just had like a bunch of textures that he likes, or like he figured out some shit on the fly. So like, you know, some basic fundamentals, and then he was able to kind of jazz around that. I think Jim Lee absolutely plans out everything. At least if it not in the sense necessarily of like coming up with like blueprints and everything, that kind of thing, but like, everything is something that he's drawn before, so it's not a problem. Rob Liefeld, I absolutely think, just draws ahead and goes from there. I know Todd, it feels like, drew largely based on what the overall page looked like. Like as a composition kind of thing, it feels like he had the most sense for that. Because so many of his pages, like, just they look really nice as a just a whole thing, like a totality. Best storyteller? Larson, probably, right? Valentino's not bad at it. He's actually pretty good. Jim Lee sucks for storytelling. Rob isn't even bear mentioning. Silvestri, pretty good. Maybe not as good as some of the other guys, but I think probably Larson's the best one. There was shit where, like, he was talking about one of the issues where it was like this is handy. So can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, this is the page. There was like a line of panels like this, and then one big panel here. And to make sure that there wasn't any confusion about what order to read in, he made sure all the lettering overlapped on this side, and then at the end overlaps over here. So, like, he was completely aware of that, which is impressive to me, particularly for an image guy. I think he has an awareness of what's going on a page that exceeds pretty much everybody else in the company. Is this thing running out already? Or is it just that it's got dried ink over the top of it now? That could be it too. Yeah, right. That's pretty good thinking. Yeah, I certainly thought he was all about Simonson, but like when he talks about his influences, he doesn't mention Walt a whole lot. Like he does mention when he talks about the issue 7, where it's all splash pages, and how that is a direct kind of response to the Thor issue versus the Midgard Serpent. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But apart from that, he doesn't really mention Walt, which I find surprising. He does mention Jack, and I don't remember who else it was. And it's like you can see some Jack in there for sure, but only it feels like it's translated through Walt into Eric. Because like there are shots by Simonson in like Cyberforce number 0 that looks like straight up like Silvestri or Larson pages rather. Yeah, with the DC guys, I mean, DC. I think Marvel went so hard at identifying themselves as the artist's publisher that DC kind of felt the need to go the other way a little bit. You try to think of who was big in the '90s that would have even fit in. I can't think of too many guys really. Like Kelly Jones would have been interesting, but even then, that would have been like it doesn't really fit the Image aesthetic. Maybe Jim Lee would have gone for it. Like John Bogdanov is like, still not very like extreme. Like they did get Al Gordon and Jerry Ordway. And I don't know where Mike Grell was before he went on to Image. I know he's done a few things. Like, did he do the Hawkworld thing? Or am I thinking of Tim Truman? Which one did Shaman's Tears? Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore anyway. Yeah. And one of them was doing like Hawkworld and I want to say Jonah Hex. I think this is Truman, actually, thinking about it. And I think did a Green Arrow thing. So he was at DC for a little while anyway, but I don't know if anybody would have called him like a DC guy. Who was a DC guy? Dan Jurgens? You know? Did Grell go to Valiant? I don't know. Like I'm just realizing that I always confuse Grell with Truman now. I don't know what Mike Grell even did. Thinking about it. No, Mike Grell did do Shaman's Tears, I think, but Tim Truman did all that other stuff I think I'm thinking about. Yeah, Mike Grell did like Warlord. Let's see. Where's this fucking bibliography? There we go. He was the Shaman's Tears guy. Did the Green Arrow stuff. Yeah. And then Tim Truman did stuff like Hawkworld, I think. And yeah. And Jonah Hex. So they were both DC guys before. Tim Truman never worked for Ballant. Yeah, Ballant. Well, Ballant was later though. Ballant was like 96, 97, 98, I want to say. That was when the Bad Girl stuff took off. I don't even know Grummet. I gotta say, was Brayfogle really a DC guy? And he's one of those guys who's like, he's got a lot of style, but like he really backs it up too. And I don't know how much that fits in with Image. There's not a lot of style over substance guys at DC in the early 90s. And that's really the look that Image wants, right? Waringo's a bit later. I don't know what Kitson looks like. I'm thinking like Kevin McGuire, same thing where he's too good. Like his fundamentals are way too good. Bart Sears is almost one of those guys, and he did do some work for Image too. But like again, his fundamentals are incredible. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I think there was a thing with that Todd McFarlane particularly was promoting where it was like, no, we don't want writers. We don't want quality, you know. I remember hearing a Rob Liefeld thing where he was talking about how he was starting to get into Mike Mignola's style. Probably before Mignola got super blocky. So, you know, like just before, yeah, because it would have been before like the Dracula stuff. And Todd warned him off from like getting too far into that stuff. He's like, that's not going to sell with the kids. The kids want all the rendering and cross hatching and everything. Yeah. you don't fit our demographic. What's your demographic? I don't know. People who don't really know how to, I don't know, who've never been to art school. Which isn't even true because like a fucking Jim Lee went, I'm quite sure. If you can't draw, you can't write. That's interesting, considering, like, man, if we're talking about the old Warner Brothers guys, none of them could even, like, none of the Image guys could even touch those guys in terms of actual drawing ability. So it's an interesting thing to invoke. And they probably didn't think about it the same way. I can see Todd saying something about something like that. And then flipping it to how art is more important than writing. You know? And how you don't necessarily need to be a great writer if you can draw well. So I've seen him banging that drum in Comics Journal's interviews. Well, I mean, yeah, and then tries to link them together. Yeah, and I mean, worked out real well for them. If we're talking about the Image guys, I mean, it did. Like, as far as they're concerned, like, no, their comics sucked, and like, they're not really, nothing lasted that they did, but they made a shit ton of money off them, and none of them has to work for a living anymore. So, I'm pretty sure that was the goal. I know it was for guys like Silvestri. I don't think it was for guys like Wills, but then he had so many health problems. It's like that kind of had to be the way that it went. I mean, like, yeah, Silvestri strikes me as a dude who just wants to live in Florida, and then every once in a while he draws something and somebody pays him $5,000 for it, and then he's good for a little while. Like right now, no, I think there's bits of them that I still like a fair bit. I think the helmets could use some tweaking, but for the most part, the design is okay. I like the cricket legs. Always like that. The big shoulder pad things, I don't like at all. And I think I need to make them a bit more intricate. I don't like the Ninja Turtle 2 fingers thing. When did I mean, like, just the fact that I guess I designed them and then didn't really think about it. Like, it was a very quick design process, if that's what it was. And then, I had to draw something. It's like, well, I've got like this half thought out design. I might as well go with that because that's better than the nothing I've got currently. And there's always been that element of like, I don't know if this looks the best, but you know. How do I even do this? Something like that. So yeah, just right off the bat, wasn't super happy with him, but I've never been very good at designing stuff anyway. So it's like, well, if I come up with something better, then that sounds like a good idea. If not, well, these do exist, and you can keep drawing them as much as you like until you're just kind of going to go full Liefeld and make them have like circle heads and tube arms. That's the thing. At least they look better than that. There's more design thought than your average Liefeld putty. Oh yeah, I'm totally influenced by Image. I mean, like, in the sense of like, well, I mean, for one thing, making fun of them, but also they're just like, what there are things that I like that Image did, for sure, or that the Image guys did rather. Like, there's a reason they got that kind of popular, right? They did do some cool stuff, except for Rob. I still don't understand that at all, but that's okay. I'm willing to just say that I will never understand why Rob Liefeld got popular. Well, I appreciate that. I kind of like him myself. And I think there's a lot of work that can be done, but I think there's a lot of improving going on anyway, all the time. So that's definitely something I'm happy about. Like, just drawing comics has made me a way better comic artist than, practicing textures or like, let's draw an arm for the 500th time, a forearm, just the forearm, flexed and not flexed. And then we'll draw a face, but we'll draw him raising his eyebrow quizzically. And this will somehow turn me into a better artist. It just doesn't, but just like keep writing shit without thinking about whether or not I can draw it. and then try to figure something out when I get there. And then that turns you into a better artist. Let's try to open mouth all the time. Absolutely. And it's been so long since I've done those kind of shortcuts, the face in shadow, except for the eyes and the teeth. See, I've got those Hawk and Dove issues, and I've thought about throwing them up. Part of the problem is I think that I don't know anything about Grummet. So that I still wouldn't be able to, that would still fall short for you there, I think. Oh man, is that a question? Holy shit. Do I think Todd was a good or bad influence on Rob? Oh man. Because he was such an influence on Rob. Like Rob listened to everything he did for like the first few years until Rob all of a sudden, or until Todd kind of turned on him. I don't know. It feels like Rob, because he definitely became a more commercial artist because of what Todd was saying. Like he started tailoring stuff more to what Todd was saying. The kids wanted to read, what was being bought, and he really, and which is kind of good, kind of bad, really. If he kind of kept up with that and kept evolving his style, that might have been interesting. I think the biggest problem is that Todd kind of indoctrinated him with a mindset of always think about the money side of things. And that's now how Rob values comics, is just, did it sell? If it sold, then it's like objectively good. So X-Force #1 selling the second most comics of all time makes it objectively the second best comic of all time, basically. Yeah, I mean, Todd seemed to want him to just be a little acolyte. And just, take everything from him there. But I don't know, when he kind of kept going with it, it seemed to eventually piss Todd off a bit. What caused the rift? That's a good. I'm not for 100% for sure. I feel like I know a little bit about it from the Comics Journal interviews. There's a Comics Journal interview that they read over on Cartoonist Kayfabe. I think it's part 2, where they just read it straight out, where Ed plays Hart D. Fisher and Jim plays Rob Liefeld, and they go through the entire interview, and it's pretty good. There's a lot of detail going on, and Rob is much more candid than I think you'll really ever see him. And I think they discussed the falling out. I just don't remember the reasons for it, because Todd gets like really weird about just like everything, by the sound of it, where he gets like weirdly offended by things. Like if he were to hire a writer, that would just like it wouldn't last, because as soon as the writer tried to tell him to do something, like to draw something, this is where this should go, like this is where the story should go, it would just completely drive Todd up the wall, and he'd end up firing the guy. I don't know. With Rob, he definitely got influenced by guys like Stephen Platt. When he hired him and Stephen Platt just went fucking supernova, that definitely influenced Rob's style. Later on, I don't know, because I don't know enough about his later stuff. It seems like it's all just based off of what makes drawing a page easiest, Where's that other page going to? There we go. Like computer coloring. As soon as he hired Kiko, that like opened his eyes, I feel like. And then all of a sudden he didn't have to do as many lines because Kiko was making up all the difference there. and then getting like a tablet with a stylus and everything, and all of a sudden like, oh wait a minute, I can totally, like, I can use effects here. I can slip an underdrawing under this and just kind of trace off of that a little bit. I feel like that made things a lot easier for him. The guy who weirdly seems to copy styles all the time for me is Jim Lee. Like, part of it is that I didn't realize is that he's just getting like his studio guys that he's hired to finish his pages for him. But like he would totally, like, yeah, switch, just add elements to his style that were like he did with J. Scott Campbell. I think probably the most obviously, where he was just starting to add in all sorts of stuff in that Fantastic Four Heroes Reborn stuff that he was taking directly from J. Scott. And it's so weird. It's like, dude, you're fucking Jim Lee, you know that. And like, just don't. Why would you try to draw like anybody else? Just draw like Jim Lee. Jim Lee, everybody loves Jim Lee. But it feels like Jim Lee's so obsessed with success, where it's like, this sold well. I need to find a thing from this that I can understand and encapsulate and kind of put into my style. And didn't quite get with J. Scott Campbell that a big part of it was like page design. Well, actually, no, thinking about it, he did try to do some new stuff with FF1. I'm not sure if it continued, though. How does this look? Yeah, I do know that's a deal. I know that's part of why he got kicked out, although it wasn't for J. Scott Campbell, to the best of my knowledge. It was for trying to get Michael Turner. And it's interesting hearing Rob's side of that, because he's like, well, I mean, like Silvestri was taking my inkers and my colorists. And then I'm like, okay, well, here, let me borrow your guy for a minute. And he flipped the fuck out. And it's like, well, so this isn't okay now all of a sudden? I was like, well, I mean, Petzers is a little different, but I do kind of see your point, actually. And there was another thing with payments. Because, oh man, I wish I could remember the details. It's very weird, intricate stuff, where a lot of payments were going directly to the Image head office to be paid. And part of the deal was like Rob agreed not to do that, where he was going to pay his own, but for some reason his guys sent in receipts to be paid by Image, and that caused a rift. And like, he didn't want it to be paid by Image, but like, or at least he says he didn't. I don't know. There's some, like, this is all from that interview, I think, and it's all super interesting, intricate stuff. And yeah, I mean, I totally remember hearing about that, where Rob Liefeld was poaching guys all over the place, and it seems like a Rob Liefeld kind of thing to do, where he's just like, we're all in this together. Why wouldn't I be able to use your guys and you can use my guys? It's like, well, because your guys suck, but yeah, now after hearing that it's like it does make me wonder a little bit. And yeah, from what I've kind of heard, like Image was extremely dysfunctional after just a couple of years, where nobody really wanted to. I mean, nobody really wanted to do comics anymore, for one thing. But nobody also wanted to, like, I don't know, jump on any new ideas. Nobody wanted to do anything interesting, really. They just all had their little fiefdoms. Nobody wanted to do any crossovers because it was too much of a legal problem after a while. Nobody wanted to, do like combined events. They just, wanted to build up their brand and basically have separate little companies and not really have to be involved with anybody else. And I mean, Eric Larson kind of did that from the start. Todd did crossovers and shit to start with, but then he kind of quickly backed off after that, I think. I feel like Rob always wanted to do crossovers and then nobody really wanted to after a while. I don't know. It's weird because after hearing those interviews, it definitely made me more sympathetic to Rob, I would say. And at the same time, I still can't. As soon as I read his comics, I'm just like giving him all the shit in the world because he doesn't try. You know. Just refuses to learn anything. Oh, with Rob, absolutely. I don't think it's ever been about his comics. This thing I was joking with my brother recently. He's like, "Man, does Rob Liefeld do anything well?" He's like, "Yes, marketing." It's like, "Yes, no, he really does." But that guy just like, yeah, like he's like all his time in Hollywood, it feels like has made him like the master of the elevator pitch. Where he just like, gets you for 30 seconds and makes Michael Bay noises at you. And then at the end of it, you're so excited. Like, just like, oh my God, I want to do whatever you want to do. Absolutely. Yeah, I really like that. I'm thinking specifically of the South Park episode where they go to what is it, fairy? I don't know. It's like fairyland or something like that. Imagination Land. That's it. And Michael Bay comes in and just like, and then this big meter comes in and just. And at the end of it, just like those aren't story elements, Mr. Bay. Those are special effects. And he's like, I don't understand the difference. He's like, yeah, we know. It's funny. Every once in a while, I'll go on like a South Park binge because that show is extremely good. And then you stop for like 5 years. It feels like, or I do anyway. I don't know what anybody else does, assuming they watch them at all. No, not quite yet. With the black. All right, I think I'm about ready to call it a day a little bit. That doesn't look too bad. Very bulky, but that's all right. I feel like we haven't seen a Clerg from like just see his whole body for I don't know like an issue or two. Oh, I should do something with this here. Hang on. Let's see. Sure. It's kind of like what the other one did. This will need some more detail here. All right. So, okay, going almost 3.5 hours is pretty good. That's about what I was hoping for, really. Hey. How's this thing looking? Boink. Oh, that's good stuff. That's just silly. I'm gonna need to flesh that out a little bit so that it's a bit clearer what exactly is happening and that his chest isn't just exploding. So some narration by Popo. It's always a good thing. Looking all right. All right. So I think I'm gonna take off. Well, thank you guys very much for sticking around. Appreciate it. Let's see if I can get some more recording done or editing or something like that. Oh, it's first time I've worn the glasses for that long in a while. Narration by Popo is excellent. It's one of my favorite things to do because you just try and like make it 90% badass or like what would pass for badass in 1993, and then the other 10% is absurd, and it I don't know. I really enjoy how it turns out. Okay, glad you enjoyed it. I think I'm switching back to my other camera though, because this does feel like I don't know if it's my eyes. It's the only problem. It feels like there's a lack of focus going on though. But I hate the repetitive monologue. That's like one of the things about Frank I hate the most. Love the way he draws. His narration can get to be pretty monotonous sometimes. I think unless I'm doing something that's more closely a Frank Miller parody, I think you want to stay away from the Frank Miller narration. Well, we'll see how it turns out anyway. I think I could probably finish this up on Wednesday if I try. So we'll do that. I do still have to finish up the previous page, although I don't think that'll be nearly as hard as these panels here, to be honest. So yeah, hopefully we'll be right back on schedule this time next week anyway. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna take off and rest my brain. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you on Wednesday if you feel like dropping by. Yeah, the narration. Yeah. All right. Have a good one, guys. Great. You can go off. Thank you. All right. I'll see you next time.